Hello, hello, hello.
How's everybody doing?
Oh boy. Welcome to the Committed Chronicles with Sonny and Lisa. Um,
Sorry, I was messing with y'all.
thanks
Carry
for
on.
joining. Thanks for joining the Committed Chronicles with Sonny and Lisa. Real talk. We just wanted to create a space for committed couples to get together and talk about all things marriage, all things that go on in marriage. We want to celebrate the wins, and we also want to help those through the challenges and just those things that come up in marriage. So
In a real way, and with space to be real. Like
right,
other places you try to come and you feel like you're being judged and all that. We want to be able to create a space where we all can come and help each other grow, and be real, you
yeah.
know, and not worry about, no kind of judgments. Just everybody trying to get better. So, what is our hot topic for today? We want to start out with that, or you got something else you want to start with?
Um, let's see. The hot topic is why are there so many divorces going on right now? It seems like everyone or
Mm.
a lot of people. I wouldn't say everyone. I would say a lot of divorces. Do you think it's because people aren't committed or they are rushing? Like what do you think it is? Because there's some long-standing couples, 13, 14 years that are getting divorced. So what are your thoughts on that?
um, Well, I was going to say, like, I know around this time of the year, a lot it spikes. Um, for some reason, I think didn't something come across our phone that was saying like something about the summer months or the.
Yeah, I think the summertime, especially with inflation and stuff.
Mm,
So I think that is being putting a strain on a lot of people. Um, and for whatever reason, they call this, I guess, the dog days of summer. So
mm.
with the inflation rate and things like that, I think they call the months March and August like the months of high
March and
divorce.
August.
Yeah, March. So they
Oh,
said
March
August,
to August.
March to
August.
August.
I got you.
Yeah, so they say that those are the days that seem to be really I guess an increase. I think with social media, um I feel that it has given people easy ways to get out.
Yeah, I think it's more of that because for me, um, the warm months are better for me than the cold months. Cold months to me and no sun is depressing to me. So
Mhm.
I think they just kind of, they just throw out stats and
Yeah,
things for. I don't think that's what it is, but I mean, if the numbers are spiking, maybe there is something to it. But no, I mean, for me, it's all about. I mean, that to me is smile and laughter. That means all that to me. So,
right.
um, it must be some other information that is not getting put in that. But I get there's always a stat or something they come out with. So I would
Mhm.
have to look more into that one.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I do think the commitment part. I think that and I'll probably say this each and every time we have a conversation. I just don't think we are taught what to do once we get married. Like there's no manual for it. Um, they have the books on, the perfect wedding dress, the perfect venue, things like that, but I don't think they have something out there that, tells a wife, how to show respect. Some people have it, but I think that, sometimes that needs to be taught, especially if you were in a upbringing that you didn't see that modeled for you.
I agree with you. And then the why, like, because some people are like, well, why do I need to do that? So I
Okay.
think the why needs to be what you said plus the why.
Right.
I think that um, would definitely help, and that's part of why we're trying to do this thing
Yeah.
because
Because
it is not. And there are a lot of things that are touched on, but that is not one of them. Even like I said with the movies, that goes up to the wedding, and you see the rice thrown, and then it says end of
right.
movie over. So
Yes.
yeah, I agree with you on that.
And I think they also gloss over um, that marriages ebb and flow. I think that is glossed over. I think um, it's not going to be a fairy tale every day. I
Mm.
mean, real life. It's just not going to be that way. So I think if you're better prepared going in, a lot of people wouldn't run at that first sign of us not getting along. Now, granted, there are some red flags that you should run, and if you've got your boundaries set up before you go in, absolutely.
Mhm.
But I also think
Like
that
abuse is that to me. That's
yes,
that's a deal breaker.
right, and you have to have your own non-negotiables. You have to know within
Right.
yourself what and what works well for someone else may not work well for you. But I mean, I think abuse across the
Right.
board
Right.
is
But that's part of the problem. I think some
is
people
it.
don't follow their own boundaries. I mean,
Well,
that is
yeah,
part of the problem.
yeah. So
Um, so that's a whole another topic. But um, staying true to the boundaries you set instead of bending, and actually having. I mean, I'm not saying have 100 of them, but
right. Oh
if you
yeah.
have a solid few, you need to try to stick to those.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And then, I think that also goes with the, talk on unmet expectations and things like that. I think that that really
Excuse me.
has to be something that is talked about periodically, because we change. I know I'm not the same person I was when I married you. So, I've evolved. Some things I've learned to let go. Some things, have become not a priority. So, we have to have, those conversations.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. I agree with that.
So I think our topic today, we initially started to talk about emotions, but we kind of going to change the direction because we
Mhm,
did roles and responsibilities last week, and we had some questions afterwards that
mhm,
we probably should touch on, because I know we talked just about the societal ideas of roles and responsibilities, but we want to talk about just do like a second part to that, with the roles and responsibilities. How do you express your needs? Because I think that if you're brought up in a family where the dad did everything and you go into your marriage thinking that the man is supposed to do everything, but you marry a guy that didn't have a father figure
mhm,
and saw the women do everything, you're going to have some
mhm.
issues.
Yeah. First, I mean, is clear communication, like because you you like encompass, you like saying everything, and that can mean different things to each and every person.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that's the first thing is um, what what do y'all believe? What do y'all think? Um, let's just start with something. What do y'all think, chivalry wise? What should a man be doing? He should be opening the door. He should be pumping gas. There's certain things that our society or
Just being a good man.
just being a good, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
manners.
certain things that we roll with that, and no one has questions about that you should be doing. So, but then
Hmm.
it starts getting murky um, when we keep going down the list and we talk about, I don't know, trash, like we talked about
Hmm.
being taken out, or yard work. Um, it starts getting a little more. uh, Should a person know to do these things? Is it
Hmm.
something you should discuss and figure out and split up? Write down the different things y'all want to take care of and do, and figure out which person should be doing it.
Hmm.
I mean, where does it, where do you leave that one person should be doing it and cross over to the other person?
I think it depends on each individual couple. But you're right. The conversation needs to be said because, and you have to pick out what's important and what's not. Like the trash issue for us. I can take out the trash. It's not going to be a big thing to me. But I know for you, it might be. I don't know.
Right.
But that is just, never something that I had to think about. But I know as us raising a son, I do know that, when we go get gas, I did teach him you were to get out
Hmm.
and pump gas.
Right.
Like, for whatever reason, it kind of bothers me when I see young ladies driving guys in
And they
cars
sitting in that passenger seat and
and
they
they
ain't
sit
doing
in that
nothing.
passenger seat
Yeah.
while the lady is out pumping the gas.
Right.
Granted, it might be her car, it might be her money.
Uh-huh. I mean, it's bad enough if
Was bad.
if you ain't got no license and you can't even get out and pump the gas.
Right,
So
right, right.
I agree with that, but that's what I'm saying. I guess I want to ask, our viewers and everyone else, like, is it just us? Like, is that something that's just gone, or where do we draw the line? I mean, where has that started to change? Where we're starting to see that, more and more.
Well, I think we are trying to raise women that are independent and feel that they don't need a man, and I think that kind of goes extreme. I think it yes, in theory, you're not supposed to need anyone. You're supposed to, be self-sufficient.
Hmm.
But I think that we've gone to the point where, women take on this role of I can do everything, and that kind of backfires. Because then you come across men and like, well, if you can do it, A, why do you need me? Or why do I have to try?
I've never heard you say that. I'm like, oh, I've never heard you express it that way before. Huh? Yeah, that kind of. Yeah, I don't know. That kind of. For me, I guess it. Not trying to be a chauvinist, but like you taking out trash, I'm like if it's something heavy and I'm like, it wouldn't sit right with me. So I get you saying you can, but
Mhm.
I don't know.
And
That's just
don't knock it like, oh, I love that. I mean, if you want to do that, oh, by all means. But you know I'm also not going to be sitting back counting the minutes when the trash is supposed to be out. Oh, he didn't do this. I'm not that
so.
type
How
of
do you
woman in.
choose on what can like you would be okay with me? You wouldn't be okay with me sitting there and you're pumping gas. That would be an absolute no. So how that's what I'm talking about. So how then do what I know just meeting you
Mm-hmm.
that the trash wouldn't be any different than that? How would I know all of a sudden you're like, oh no, the trash I can do? Like, what's the difference?
Well, I think that's conversation. I think that that's a conversation we need to have. I guess for me, I always, as I want to bring up my daughter, I want her to know that she can do all those things. I'm an advocate for, you know, not living together, at least living by yourself, so you know how to take care of a household yourself, so that you're not jumping from your parents' house to someone else's house. Like I'm an advocate for that.
Hmm.
But I also kind of feel that, I don't know. I guess if we had gotten married and trash day came and you just didn't offer it, maybe it would make me feel some kind of way like, oh, you just not gonna do this? Like, I mean, maybe in the back of
Um,
my mind, I'm like, okay, and I may give you a pass for a couple of times, and I'll be like, huh, well, maybe you weren't taught. So then that there's a conversation like, hey, on trash day, how do you feel? Do you want to do 50-50? I do it one week, you do it one week.
okay,
Or, and if you would have said something like, nah, you good, you got it, that might have, yeah. Yeah, it
there's
might
a
have,
boundary.
yeah, I'm like, "Oh,
Okay,
okay. Okay." So either A, you weren't taught right, or you're lazy. Like,
right, or
so,
both.
or both.
Right. Huh.
So I think, yeah, I think for that, um, okay. I think for that, it just kinda, it has to be taught. And if it's not taught, then it has to be modeled, or, um I think just clear conversations you just have to have, because everybody comes from different backgrounds. They just really do. And I can't assume that you were brought up like me. You can't assume that I was brought up like you. So, and then there's that moment for grace. But if we're like 3 or 4 years in and I'm still taking out
Oof.
trash,
That's a long. See
no,
that
let me
to
see.
me.
Let's
That's a
do
little bit
six
of a
months.
big
Let's
break.
do
Yeah.
6 months. If 6 months in and I'm still taking out the
Yeah.
trash, I'm still pumping my gas,
Yeah.
I'm still doing everything that I feel that as a woman I shouldn't be doing, then A, you're either not my person or you're not trying hard
How
enough.
long, y'all? Text it in the chat. How long of a grace period do you give? Y'all think 0 to 6 months, 6 to 12, um, 1 year, 2 years? Text in what you text in the number y'all think grace wise you give in the chat.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think even for our children, like, our son, he dates. And we've told him to give grace, but it's only going to be for so long.
so you just hit on something there. So that dating is different than
Oh, definitely.
relationship,
I will
right?
always say yes.
So explain the difference between relationship and dating.
And this is just me. I have always said there's things that I'm gonna do as a wife that I would have never done as
Well,
a
yes,
girlfriend.
that is your saying.
And so with that, what I mean is there's a lot more grace that I'm gonna give you as your wife, that as a girlfriend, I am in that mode of basically checking off, like, okay, do we mesh on this? Do we communicate well on this?
Hmm.
Is the chivalry there? Do you have my back? And if I feel that it's not, then I have to make that choice.
But what you're doing, what a lot of people get confused is that phase you're in and what you're doing and what you're watching,
I'm prospecting.
you're prospecting. But
Yes.
you do that in the dating
In
phase.
the
A
dating
lot of
phase.
people
Absolutely. Yeah.
will say they're in a relationship with somebody. They'll actually
Yes.
claim that.
Yeah. We're not in a
And then they're
relationship.
doing that phase they should have been doing in the dating a little too late.
Yeah. Because I feel like if you do too much in the dating phase, you basically doing your wife duties.
Too much too soon, you
Too
mean?
much too
Because you
soon.
can do, you need to do a lot as far as on the
Right. You need to
prospecting part of
prospect
it.
and you need to, gather information. Absolutely. But, and I'm also an advocate. I'm not going to date for a long, long time. I'm not
What does that mean? A long time.
5, 10, 20 years. I'm not doing dating like that. Like that's a long time for me because I truly feel that a man knows that he wants to be with you, wants to marry you within a first year. I truly believe that.
Okay.
Now, when you're very, very young, high school, like I tell my son, that don't count. That doesn't count. I mean, because you're learning yourself, um, you're learning what you like and what you don't like. And even in
Hmm.
your early 20s, which is why I don't think people should be in like serious, serious relationships in your early 20s, because you don't get to date to see what else what you like and what you don't like. So, but that is just me. I was in a relationship, early on. I went through a 4-year relationship in college, like just gung ho, and you know, those are the years that I figured out what I liked and what I didn't like, and then when it was time for me to graduate, I had to come to that conclusion, like I'm about to go into the real world, and is this the relationship? Is this the dating aspect that I want to keep pursuing? And unfortunately, it was not because
What
there
you
were.
mean, unfortunately?
Fortunately, it was not.
Y'all hear this chick?
For- Fortunately, it was not, and God bless me later
Get it
on.
together. Get it together.
but but I will say that it taught me the things that I knew that I was okay with, and what were my boundaries. And I think at that time for me, what I saw my father do, he was a provider. He always worked. He always, we didn't go without. And so that is what I look for in a man.
I'm going off script, y'all. Sorry. So there it is. I love that you brought that up. So, so you were looking for in a man provider. That was probably one of the top things, right?
Hmm.
Is provider linked to being a leader in the household? Is the provider the leader of the household automatically, or no?
Um, so I have the biblical foundation. So I've always been taught to believe that the man is the leader in the house. Like he is the head of the house. If
Hmm.
we're talking financially wise, I
Hmm.
don't think sometimes the woman may make more than the man. But as the man, you should still be the person that is leading. But I also say that's why you shouldn't live together. You wouldn't have those problems if you're not married. For a man can only be a leader when he's married. Like you can't lead me and we just dating.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, maybe if we're in the fiance and all that,
Hmm.
maybe because we got a date, but we can't be I can't be a fiance for 3, 5 years either. Like I'm
So
just.
does a courting stage, does that count or no?
As far as being a leader, okay, so that still goes back to the dating. Like I'm seeing how you move, I'm
Okay.
seeing where you take the initiative, and that is probably going to show me how you're going to lead.
Okay.
So if I got to ask you to do this while we're dating, if you do not take it upon yourself to pump the gas for me, to I never think you should date for money, and but hey, here's $20, get your nail, something like that. If you can't do
Not
that
that it's
for
money;
me,
it's more of consideration. Is what you're saying?
consideration, then that is giving me a picture of what would happen in marriage. And I don't want to struggle like that, like we dating, because it should go up a level,
Hmm. Okay.
if that makes any sense. But like I said, it still has to be with communication, and you have to be specific about your boundaries and their boundaries.
Okay.
So, and I think that there's two sides. I mean, they have different views and different perspectives. So, and sometimes y'all just may not seem you may not be on the same page with that. So then you have to make the decision, is that something that I'm willing to keep trying to line up when clearly it's not? And I know for me in my earlier relationships, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Like I already know that there's going to be other things that come along. I don't want to have to raise that part up and this part that I know feel to do.
Ever cleared up? I've always wondered that.
Yeah.
Um, so sorry for going off script, messing you up, but um, what was our next thing? Open. You were kind of hitting on communication already.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And being
being
specific.
transparent.
Yeah, being transparent.
Yes. Because that's a lot of times. I think I already said this before. As the other person, if you don't understand what your spouse is saying in that moment, like y'all hear me ask Lisa a lot of times, like, wait, hold on a second, let me make sure I get what you're saying, or and she knows now. I think at first she would be like thinking I was just trying to cut her off, but as we grew, she knew I was really looking for clarity, so I could help sort through something instead of that I was bucket against her or trying to be funny and like interrupt her. She
Mm-hmm.
started understanding. I was like, hold on, before you keep going, let me clear up what you're saying. Let
Right.
me let me understand it, um, so that I can either give you an answer or help with it.
Right.
Um, but yeah, that's those would be it.
Okay.
And thank you,
I think we had a question.
thank you for that.
Was there? Well, I think it's a question.
Oh, I
Well,
missed it.
maybe it's for me. Yeah, we'll come back through it. I'm trying to get it. So, and then when we're talking about being specific, I guess for me, like I always say, everything, everybody, you have to really be specific. Like, financially, what I would like to see as a man, you do. You don't have to take care of me because I have my own, but I don't want to be the one bringing all the money in, because I do know that there are some that bring the women bring the money in and
Hmm.
they pay for the majority of the stuff, and the men sit back. That's unequal to me. But like I said, that is my upbringing, and what I saw was, my parents both worked, but my dad, he led the house on majority things. He was the leader, and he
Hmm.
provided, for a lot of things. Now my mom, she made sure stuff got done, and even if it was telling my dad, well, the kids need this, the kids need that, my dad still made sure that it happened. So
Okay.
um so yeah, so I would not, for me, going into a relationship where the financial, the child rearing, the taking out the trash, the cutting falls on me would never have worked for me,
Okay.
because I'm like, then yeah, that would have never that would have never been the guy that I would have wanted to be with.
So let's do this. Let's do this real quick.
Okay.
So give me three male roles and three female roles off the top of your head.
um
Put it on the spot.
and
Start
this
with the
could be
female.
real, and this
Start
could
with the
be
female.
chauvinistic. I get it,
Let's
but
start with the female though.
based off of my upbringing,
Hmm. Just
um
three. Three females roles. Go.
cooking, if you're the better cook,
Okay.
um babies when they're very, very young.
What does that mean?
I
Babies? You just
mean,
said babies.
nurturing the children when they're really, really young. um
Okay.
Women. I don't know. Laundry, maybe, but like I said, that's very chauvinistic, and it's very what I grew
Hmm.
up with. I mean, but I know people that they don't do the laundry. Women don't do that. So
I know a lot of guys that do laundry. Is that your third one? Is laundry?
yeah, it's weak.
Oof.
It's weak.
You sure you want to go that as your final? That's your third is laundry.
Okay, doing the girl's hair. If you have a girl, doing the hair.
Okay. 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 So is that so? That's not baby. Just a baby is more like change what? Change a diaper because I feel like I
Yeah.
change diapers too,
Yeah, but yeah,
but I
you
know I couldn't
did.
breastfeed.
Right. You couldn't do that.
So
Um,
is that what the babies means?
I
Is
just think, and it's just because I'm,
like cooking breakfast for them and stuff?
yeah, doing those things, doing those little bitty things,
Hmm.
the little extra touches. I think men are capable, but I think a mother's
Nurturing.
love is just a little bit more
Well,
nurturing.
yes, yes. I'm
So,
built different. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
we're
true.
built for that. So, yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely, yeah. Mm.
Okay, male side.
Um, Paying bills, paying for the household. I think not everything, but
This is so funny to me because I've never, we've never had it to
we've
that
never
level,
had,
y'all.
yeah.
Like where she's actually said that. I mean, I've just,
I mean, I think you should contribute financially. I don't think it, and even if it's 50-50, there
yeah.
should be some contribution from the man. I believe that.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely. But our
I,
roommates can be 50-50. So that's why I'm asking
and
you
then there's your question, and
communicate.
then there's your communicator.
Right,
Are we roommates
right.
or are we?
Yeah, because to me, roommates can do half and half. You can do that with your male cousin. Y'all can both be males or females or whatever.
Okay,
So I think there has to be some discussion on because it ain't going to balance out
you're right.
exactly
It's
either
not going to
way.
balance out. Yeah.
For the most part, it's probably not.
Okay, I give
Um,
you that. Okay.
but okay, I'm sorry, I interrupt you. So you got
Just
finances mainly.
for a car, car repair, because I didn't grow up. I didn't have any brothers, so my dad did everything.
I'm feeling
So
kind of used right now. Okay, so car repair,
yeah, I think, and even if you can't do it,
get it handled.
help me figure it out because I don't know anything about that. So
Okay,
I do expect a man to, if we can't change, case when I had the flat
tire.
tire,
Mm,
you came in and saved the day.
talk about it.
I was on the freeway. It was hot. I was scared. And my daughter was, and you came right in. Came before AAA. So that was,
And did what? What I do?
you
Say,
took
let me
care.
go ahead.
You took
Go
care
ahead.
of
Go ahead.
us. You did, and I appreciate that. Now, and even if you couldn't do it, and you made sure that I called AAA, there, I just want that direction.
Right.
But if I call you and say, and you'd be like, "Oh, how are you gonna figure that out? What you gonna do?"
So yeah, I
That's gonna
had
be
you
a
call
problem.
them in case I didn't make it in
Right.
time because I know that was a dangerous part of the freeway.
Right.
And then when I made it there, I just went on and changed the tire and got you out of there.
Right.
And then we
Absolutely.
called them back. So
Yeah. And if you had
I
not
get
been
that.
able to get there, walking me through it versus telling me figure it out,
Right.
those are two, and I would have appreciated that. You didn't have to come, but had you just stayed on the phone with me until triple A, that would have been enough for me as
It
well.
makes sense. It makes sense.
So I guess those things, and so maybe it's the support of the man that I need
And security.
in the security to know that if something falls apart,
I got your back.
you got my back. Even if you can't physically do anything about it, I know that I can come to you to either vent about it, and not necessarily want you to solve it, but I know that you are that
And
you
that took
have that
me
security for me.
so right what you said right there took me a while because the physical aspect I got as a man, I need to come do something physically.
Mhm.
The sitting there letting you vent, that took a while because I'm like, what do you want? What do you need me to do?
I don't need you
Because
to
sitting
solve.
there listening and talking wasn't what I was like, what is that doing?
But as
But I
women,
did get to. Again, at first I didn't get that, so
yeah,
that's a good point.
yeah.
All right, so that's two. What's the third male?
Um, um, I think because we have a son, teaching our son those things that I can't,
Okay,
those conversations that I can't have with
okay, all right, okay. That's a good one.
him. So once again, yeah. So but like I said, those are conversations we've never really had. Those, I think that just came
No,
naturally, and it was probably before we got married. I saw how you moved, and that's where I'm talking about the
that's
dating
pretty.
and
Wow,
the prospecting. I was like, okay, I know, and I remember telling you early on, I felt safe with
you
you.
did. You did tell me that. I know what you meant.
Yeah,
You said I felt secure. I had
secure
no
and
idea
safe.
at that
Yes,
age. I had no idea.
right.
Y'all are smarter. I will say that. And this is getting recorded, so I'm gonna let y'all get this off one time. Y'all are made different than us. Y'all can
Yeah,
handle a lot more mentally than we can. We can physically do we're stronger on that end, but mentally and comprehending and just multitasking, y'all got us by a
right.
mile. I mean, y'all got us.
Yeah,
So I had no idea what you meant by it at that. When you first said it
Mm.
back then, had no clue what you meant. I was just like, I was flexing my muscles. If you really want to know the truth, like, oh, you feel secure. I'm thinking it's a safety thing. Like
Right.
she
No.
talking about ain't nobody coming through the door because I'm here. That's how I took it. I had no idea she meant in a whole nother layer of ways
Right.
until later on.
Yeah. And even when we didn't like each other, I don't think that part of me
I
feeling
don't know what
safe
you talking
ever.
about.
I don't think that part ever wavered. And it,
You mean feeling like I'm not going to just let the house go
yeah.
10 to 4. I'm
Right.
still going to take care of you. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and even like even when things weren't good with us, like I mean, we were in a bad spot, but that part never,
Mm.
it never chipped away so much that I didn't think it would come back.
Mm.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so that's yeah, I guess that was something. Yeah, that's something I've always had with you. So like I said, so when you're expressing your needs, even when, even into day-to-day stuff, you start, what I had to learn, I had to use I statements. I tend to generalize. um
Good job.
I am good about that, and I had to really say what I needed. I had to really think about what I needed, and even if that meant like sometimes I have many journals or probably around the house, that there were days I just have to sit and really think, what do I need, and so that I could be able to put it on paper and convey it to you.
Okay. So let's read it off for these people because we did number 1, which was
Mm.
what?
Open communication. You go value that transparency, making it open enough that you want to discuss what your requirements are.
We're giving y'all 10 today. That was 1.
Okay.
2 was
Be specific. Nothing vague. Clarify your expectations. Because I think when you're not in that, when it's not spelled out, it could be perceived some way totally different.
You ain't lying. And now we're on 3.
And so then using the I statements, and that, is my needs. They're my needs. So I need to address them as I need this from you. I need that from you.
But doesn't that
Rather
come
than
off?
you saying you never do this. If I'm
Okay.
trying to say I need this from you, but I'm coming at you first saying you never do this, you always do this, you're never going to hear what I need.
Because it makes me defensive.
Yes,
It
I put the
doesn't give
blame
me
on you,
right.
and the blame sometimes is because you've never even heard what I needed,
Okay.
or it's never been discussed enough that it was understood.
Right.
We can do a lot of assuming on both parts.
And that part is where we always come in and we're talking about giving the space.
Mhm.
Like with this community, we want to give a space, create a space. If you don't create room for somebody to feel comfortable to have certain feelings or um, certain talks, um, that's why a lot of us keep repeating the same grade, keep
Right.
wondering why we're having the same conversations, same arguments, going through the same spiel with our spouses. And can't get past a certain point.
Mhm.
That's a big part of that. So yeah, that's big. Coming that way helps create a safe environment to move forward. So
Right, because it diffuses everything. Because when you say I, you are putting the onus on you, which gives that other person that is giving the attention to actually listen and let their guard down.
okay.
And then one thing that we had to really work on, choosing the right
Number 4.
right place and time. Yeah, we had to figure that one out. I can't talk to you right when you come home from work. And you can't talk to me right when you come home from work. So, I know you come in the house, if you had one day, you may want to, and I'm asleep. I'm not going to give you all the
That's true.
attention that you need.
True.
So, we've had to, no time constraints and no distractions, which can be really hard with children, and other obligations. And there's sometimes, go sit in the car, block everybody out,
We've
sit in the
done that.
car,
We have went to the garage and
and
sat in the
have
car.
that
Yeah,
one-on-one
we've
conversation
done
when
that.
you don't want the distractions.
Yeah.
So,
Another thing is, I used to sometimes get upset and think she was ignoring me because she can multitask and I can't. So I'm like, "How you like this while I'm talking to you?" It felt really kind of
and that was wrong on
sort
my
of.
part. I should have put my phone
Yeah.
down and gave you my attention,
So yeah, like don't
even though I can multitask.
and you can, but I mean, in the
It's
moment
not
when
fair to you
if I'm
if you're
heated,
heated, right?
I'm feeling like
It's
I
just
don't know
more me
what's really
ignoring
here,
you. Yeah.
man. So
And you don't do well with that.
mm, so
So
yeah. So put the phones down. You know, again, it's on the other person too. Like if I'm coming in while you're cooking, you're not gonna just
right. Yeah.
let the fish
The
burn.
time and place. Yeah. Because even
But
if you
yeah,
want to discuss, even if you're right, if it's at the wrong time, it's just not going to be right.
yeah, yeah. It's a two-way street.
Yeah. And so
Number 5.
actively listening, which goes into the choosing the right place and right time and giving your attention. Like I think when there's no distractions,
Undivided attention.
um, and you are really just the two of you talking, then I can actively listen to you. I can actively um give you those head nods, and I know you've gotten on me on some time. Like if I'm in a space, I'm doing much better now. But if I'm in a space, if you were talking, telling me something that you felt like was not done correctly or it didn't seem fair or respectful, um, I will do the stare. Or you get the stare. I'm looking at you, but you're
Mm-hmm.
not getting nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a good
Disrespectful.
that's
Yes,
not a
sir.
good I'm petty. I have been petty. I have been known to be petty in the
Mm-hmm.
past.
She
Um
does it so well. So well.
so what I've changed with that is that, every once in a while you need to hear a yes.
Mm.
I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you need to hear me but actually
Just an
yes.
acknowledgement.
And
Just
an
yeah.
acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
So even
Right.
if it's a and at sometimes that's all I can give you.
That's all I need.
Okay.
That's all I need.
All right. All right. So we're doing that, and then the active listening, and you're avoiding blame, which we kind of touched on before, and that's going with the using the I statements, and just going in every conversation, even if it's a conflict, we need to reframe our minds
Mm.
and think that we are trying to find the solution as a team.
That was big for me, y'all. That I would say that's a corner turning moment for us.
Yeah,
That was major. I think that's when we started actually we got out of the woods on that one, I should say.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
So we'll say that one again. That was a good
Um,
one.
I can't repeat it like I said it. When there is conflict, and we do a whole thing on conflict resolution because that is our pain point was communication and conflict
Mm.
resolution. And when we were in the thick of things, we were only concerned about ourselves. And so what we had to do and reframe that was to come at it as we are a team and we're trying to solve this problem and we're trying to come up with a solution together.
Yeah.
And even if with compromise, because sometimes we're not going to be on the same page and we have to agree. Um, we may not come to agreement, but we have to come to understanding each other's side.
Yep. Just in the changing of the way we saw things and thought of things.
Hmm.
Major. Major,
Major,
major.
major, major.
Um I'm sorry, I'm putting myself on my 6. Are we on 6 yet?
Nope, we're on 7.
7.
Acknowledging their perspective, which goes all the way into the blaming, which goes all the way and it's just really in kind conversation. Like I think when you talk kindly to each other, all these things come into play and they should kind of meld together a little bit easier. And you have to it doesn't come easy because we all have that selfish part of us. But I think, you married this person, you've committed to this person,
Uh-huh.
you should at least learn how to be kind to this person.
Yeah. Being kind and acknowledging, like, just you owning up with stuff sometimes made it easier for me to be like, okay, I ain't even mad about it no more. I just needed you to
Right.
be like,
Yeah.
I ain't perfect. Because when you sitting there acting like you perfect, sometimes that's a whole nother thing in itself. Like, I ain't never done nothing wrong. I'm miss.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a work I was a work in progress with that. Yeah. So, yeah. And being vulnerable because I guess to me, admitting that I was wrong, eh,
Yeah, you felt too vulnerable. I
I
felt like it
felt,
was.
yeah, like you could take that and use it against me, and then you could weaponize it,
Yeah,
and then that would come back.
and I didn't help. I didn't help you get to that point.
Right.
And as I started making it easier for you to feel that way,
Hmm.
that also helped you get there too. So again, a lot of it's two-way street. I mean,
It
it's
is.
not 50-50 two-way, but yeah,
Hmm.
a little bit will help the other person go a long way in that.
Yeah.
Um,
And you would think that, you marry this person, you're supposed to be kind, and it's supposed to just flow. It doesn't always, because you are the closest person to me that when I'm feeling hurt, and if I feel that is from you, it is going to hurt me the deepest.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I
that
get that.
that is something,
Hmm.
and that is something that is not taught. You're not taught that you wow out because of the perceived hurt, when that might not even been his, his or her intention.
Yeah, I think I used to take it like, oh, you think because I am your husband, you can just wild out on me. Like you can just say whatever to me. And I'm really n- feeling like I'm the one in your corner. So I feel like you shouldn't be with me. I should be the last one.
Hmm.
So again, we had to reframe a lot of things because I would just take it almost like a personal attack.
Hmm.
Like how you talking to me? And I'm the
Right.
one that does this and that and this, and I'm just really,
Ego. But that also comes with, you're the closest that can do the most damage to me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Fine line.
fine, yeah, fine line. And then, like I said, compromise. It's not about agreeing, but coming to an understanding. And there are days we agree to disagree, but we find a solution and keep it moving. We don't
We
stay
don't
stuck.
disagree that
We
much,
don't
but
disagree that much. Some things,
but you
some things it's just like, let's just shut the.
yeah.
It is going. You may take the lead. I'm making the executive decision, and
So
okay,
here's what's crazy about her saying that. We can go pick furniture together, flawless, y'all. Like y'all wouldn't believe. Like we see these shows where they can't pick they got different taste in furniture. We did all that, and we would have the same type of taste. Picking out a couch, we both love it. Wall paint, we both love. All that, and then we would mess around and argue over something stupid. Just that, and I think all that would just blow my mind because I'm like, man, everything else we are flawless on and easy flowing on, and I would just be like, well, how are we not on this? We 99 things, and then that, and I would just blow that up for
because
some
we're
reason.
two different people.
That's true. I just
We're two
I was
different
that fantasy
people.
guy. I was that everything is gonna be like the movies. I was that dude. Like we ain't gonna argue ever. So yeah,
And if we argue, we're not equally yoked.
you ain't have to say that now. You heard that right.
Okay.
I did say that, y'all. I did. Way back. I don't even remember the year, but I said that.
Yeah. So, so then with the compromise, you have to also then be patient. Like once you express your needs and you've clearly stated, I need this from you. Um, the turnaround might not be the next day.
That's why these is at the end, huh?
Right.
Okay.
The turnaround
So
might
you had
not
me
be
with the ones at the end. Okay.
the turnaround might not be the next day. And so you have to give grace. However, you are correct. If we have come to some solution about something, yeah, I can't wait 6 months, 6 months to do it. So yeah, so that was
Okay.
our
So and
other.
bound that part that hits in the boundaries too.
Yes, and
Mm,
right, so that hits into boundaries. So if I'm clear, and it depends on what it is.
mm.
If I say, hey, we're still talking about the trash, I would like for you to take out the trash or pay this bill. Not ask me for money. I like just little things like that.
Huh? You would like? What
I-
are you talking about?
if I'm coming to you and I'm saying those things and we
Uh-huh.
have that discussion, and so then like the next day, I don't expect you to like all of a sudden took notes and be like, okay, I'm right in there, and
Okay.
but I don't expect 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, we still doing the same stuff that we had the conversation about. Like there should be some kind of intentional
Right.
movement forward, even if it's small.
Okay. Because I know a couple right now that one half the couple comes up and says, I would like this and I would like this. And it's part of the conversation. That's
Hmm.
how it starts out. But the other person starts feeling like, okay, well, what about what I like? And because they don't actually get to that part of the conversation, they don't validate each other and they don't go to the other person's in that moment.
Their perspective, yeah. Hmm.
They don't do that. Not that it needs to be done at the exact same time, but it never gets back to the second person.
Hmm.
Resentment builds in.
Yes,
One. Two, they start getting tit for tat
we've done that.
because the other person starts feeling like all you do is say what you want,
Hmm.
and we don't never get we don't never get to what I want.
Hmm.
So if that is some of the things y'all dealt with, um, that is probably how it got to that point. Like just
You're
not
not feeling
validated.
heard. Yeah, you're
Yes,
not
one
feeling heard.
person is not feeling heard and feeling like their needs are getting met,
Hmm.
and then goes to resentment, and then it goes to tit for tat.
So in those moments, what I will say is that you have to really listen to what that other person is saying. Now, if I'm sitting down with you and I've already made up in my mind, I ain't gonna hear what you said because I know that I'm right. Then yeah, that's going to be a dead conversation, and you're going to keep doing that
Exactly
same
what
cycle.
happens.
Like you have to be intentional about, you know what? Let me see his side of it,
Hmm.
and let me check myself because some of the stuff is, if I've had to look in the mirror, like, okay, yeah, I was wrong on that one. I was wrong. And I need to own up to it. Even if I don't own up to it verbally to you, own up to
Or
it to
that day.
myself or that day. I need to that I need to own up to it.
Mm.
So
I have a
um
question there.
yeah, the love languages.
Are there some love languages that, I don't know if you can pull that back up?
I'm trying to look at that. I can't really see it. Well, keep talking. I'll find it.
Um, so yes, love languages do come into play with that.
But I
It's Go ahead.
Okay, so for
I'm gonna
love
see
language,
say
so
what the
this is
difference
what I
is.
was thinking. This is what I've been hearing. Because my love language may not be your love language,
Uh-huh.
you need to talk in my love language because I'm never going to receive it if it's your love language.
Explain. What do you mean?
Okay,
Like, what do you mean?
so if my love language, if your love language was words of affirmation,
Mm-hmm.
and my love language is physical touch, because I spend all day with you, holding and rubbing on you, and I never feed into you, giving you those words of affirmation, I'm not doing your love language.
Okay.
And so you're going to always feel like, what about me? Why is it always about what you want?
Right.
Acts of service, all that stuff. So I think the love language is huge that couples know what each other's love language are,
Okay.
but you also have to give them their love language.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
No, I was trying to make sure I was following you. So you're saying don't just know your own. Don't
Right.
say this is my love language. Get with me.
Yes.
You also need to know and get with your spouse's love language. Is that
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
Okay. And that's true because when I remember we first, I think the first how many what year or two when we first learned about language, we were in our own space with, oh, I know my language. Yelling up and down the street, we
What
know our
about
own love
me? What
languages,
about me?
and what weren't really working in the space of our spouse. So that is a good point because I think we really did fail in that when we read the book and watched the video and did all that and thought we
Yes.
was doing something,
Yeah.
and we really weren't because the understanding wasn't there.
Right.
The total understanding of both needing, the two again a two-way street. I keep saying that, but yeah.
Yeah. And even you may have the same love language that shows up differently. Like ours is physical touch, but it could be different
Okay,
depending
that
on
took a minute too.
depending on, what the physical touch.
Mm,
Like, for me, physical touch, give me a massage, I'm good.
mm-hmm,
Like I'm like, oh, okay.
mm-hmm,
I don't know if that's always
mm-hmm.
massage is because it's touch for me. I know that that may not be what you need all the time. And it's not the same. You're not going to get the same um response or whatever, if that makes any sense.
Mm. Yeah, it just wasn't the only dish.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yes, I think at first you took it as that's I made him a plate. That's it, and I was like, I kind of want different toppings on different ones or something. I was just needy. So yes, but you're right.
Okay. Well, yeah. So yes, love languages. I think
You
that
married this.
when you figure out, and if no one has taken the love language test, you really should because it really helps you find what's
Mm.
important and what makes you feel, I guess, validated, in the relationship. And if that other person knows, then they can speak that to you
Yes, we're gonna have to hit him with that with the wheel.
next time. Yeah, next time.
But to go with that, I think when we cover that, we're going to cover something else we learned that is
Emotional
not
will,
out.
yeah,
Yeah, the emotional will is not really. I don't think it's.
talked about.
Yeah, it's not. not widespread. It's not. But the emotional wheel, it's a wheel of words that you can we're going to put up. We're going to have a display and we'll put it up,
Mm-hmm.
and you can actually see some of the emotions you thought you were having
Mm-hmm.
have a little more breakdown, and a little more wordplay to them, where you can actually express yourself a little easier
Right.
to your spouse, to yourself, and to others. Like, it
Right.
don't just have to be your spouse, but
Yeah, it gives you, I guess, feelings because okay, case in point, last night
mhm.
when the whole thing happened with our son not being home when he was supposed to. Um, so I was anxious because
Mhm.
I am, and
Because
he perceived it. I don't know how he perceived it, but he automatically went into. I guess he thought that I was angry about it, and I wasn't angry. I was just I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on, and so he automatically went into solving mode, which I didn't need him to do that.
So I know exactly what you were, because you are anxious and you've been that way for ever.
Okay.
So I knew where she was.
Okay.
The thing was, sometimes I think, you don't know that saying, if we're gonna pray, don't worry. Sometimes a little anxiousness. Sometimes I'd be having to just be like, and that was last night. I was asleep. She ain't mentioned that.
So he was irritable.
And irritable.
He was irritable.
Yes,
So he
sleep.
took my anxiousness.
Finally asleep, and then she's still over there, but ain't doing that, but just worrying. I'm like, hold on. So what did I do? I communicated to our son, bring yourself home.
And that's not what I
And
needed. I
you
didn't.
didn't need that, but I did. You didn't need that, but I needed to go to sleep because you still wanted to do other things in the morning. So they both can't fit in this box. So
Okay.
one had to give.
As I said, with the emotional wheel, I was anxious and just uneasy. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
angry. I think it came off as me being overly whatever. It was just more just
Yeah.
anxiousness.
Now you'd have been mad if I said, "Well, we ain't doing that in the morning because I ain't got no sleep." You'd have been like, "Oh, we ain't going."
I would have left you.
But you would have still been like, "Well, we ain't going." So that's the part. Sometimes because y'all can multitask, you got 12 things going on in your head, and I'm gonna deal with two or three.
But as we are working on this journey of marriage, I am
Whatever.
trying to impress
Whatever.
upon him that sometimes I just need to vent. I don't need him to solve anything.
Hmm? You can vent. You could have went more after that.
But
Went
if
back to
he
sleep
if
all you
he
wanted.
hadn't been irritable, it would have went a totally different way, which is timing. Which is timing.
Uh huh. Late at
So,
night when somebody sleep.
but it wasn't. Hey, okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It's all
we
good.
were able to recover from that
Yeah.
because yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's like midnight, 1 o'clock, and we not talking the best because we both were tired.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we kind of came to an understanding and we agreed that we understood and we went to sleep.
Uh-huh.
So when we woke up the next morning, we didn't have that
No,
stickiness
we
of
moved on.
tension.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And we weren't like we used to
and
be. I'd have been like still holding on to that. Like,
yeah,
what's wrong with you, man? Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
the techniques work. They do.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be intentional about doing them and practice
Be consistent with
and
it,
be
because it still took a
consistent.
minute after we started them. So
It still took a
it
minute.
took
Yeah. And we're
not
not
as long as
perfect.
everything else though. Like
Yes.
that only took some months where we spent years doing other stuff.
Yes. Yes.
So the stuff we're gonna be showing y'all, it works. I guess I can say quick. I don't even like saying quick, but
No.
it works pretty quick.
It's just reframing the way
Yeah.
we look at things.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
yeah. And so finally, well, that comes with the be patient and all of that. And then finally, periodically you're going to have those conversations
This is
and
number 10.
reflect over your expectations and your needs. Like we evolve. I'm not the same person that I was when I first married him. There's some things that I used to prioritize that I don't prioritize as much anymore. And there's some things that I didn't prioritize that I prioritize more. So um
I'm about to do a backflip on that one.
okay.
Yes.
So saying that you should still have those, just, and that's with
Check-ins.
the check-ins, like the weekly check-ins,
Daily.
or daily.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think you should at least have
Small
some
daily ones.
conversations daily.
Because you're not always gonna get them off daily.
Right.
But if attempt to do it daily, it kind of works out better than trying to wait a weekly thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
with
And
all
even if
the
it's
life,
writing a note, because some days you have totally different and you're just that busy, write a note. At least you get it out and it's, the other person knows and you can talk about it and you won't forget. So, and I know that there are couples that have journals, like a together journal. So when those things do
oh
come
yeah,
up,
that's a good one.
and maybe
That
that's
is a good
something
one.
we could probably try that
Because
one.
that, I think that helps because if you have if one or both of you have a problem validating, listening, any of those things like that,
Hmm.
that journal, that is a big one because you don't have no choice but to read it and listen.
Hmm.
And
And reflect. Yeah.
reflect first
Yeah.
before you respond because you're just reading it. The
Right.
person's not in front of your face, so
Right.
that one is a big one for depending on your challenges in your relationship.
Yes.
That can be a big one.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that is good.
Yep. So, with that being said, I think, we'll go over them again. When you're expressing your needs when it comes to roles and responsibilities and to basically everything, there should be some kind of rules of engagement, and we'll talk about that later on as well. But, you want to make sure you have open communication. You want to be specific in what you are telling the other person. Like you want to clarify, what your expectations are, what your needs are, what your requirements are. You want to use I statements to avoid the blame. You want to choose the right time and the right place. You want to actively listen and give your undivided attention to the other person as they are speaking. No multitasking, no phones. And if you got to go to a car to get out of the everything, that is the best. I mean, I think we've had our best conversations in the car.
Breakthroughs.
Yeah. Avoiding blame, acknowledging their perspective, which goes back into the validation. And that is a huge piece. And we will do a class on the whole validation piece. Compromise. And you got to be willing. It's a give and take. I'm not going to always get my way. You're not going to always get my way. But if we see it as a team, we can come to a common goal and a common end. Be patient. It's not going to happen overnight. It took you years to get into this space. It's going to take you hopefully not as long to get out of it, but it's not going to be at the snap of a finger. So reframing your mind, getting out of those bad
It's definitely faster than it took you to
spaces.
get it into. I
Yeah.
already know that.
Definitely, contributes to it. And then reevaluating periodically, having those conversations, saying, yes, this is the need that I had, maybe 10 years ago. Now I need it this way, and just having that open and honest conversation.
Yeah. Yep. And just
Okay, sorry about that. Don't know what happened. But as we were saying, next week we will not be having a live. We are celebrating our 20 years together. Woohoo! And so we are going on an adventure. So we'll be giving you all the details when we get back.
yeah. Try to take video so y'all can see because if it's good, we'll share the location with y'all.
Yeah,
we
and
have a
if it's
good time.
bad, I won't tell anybody where it's at. So once again, we want everyone to make sure that they have a wonderful, wonderful week. We're trying to grow our community even more. So let those people, your friends know, to join our community so that we can, be together and just celebrate marriage and celebrate the triumphs and deal with the challenges and the things that come with marriage.
Yep. Have them put their email when they join. Have them put their email in the form that you fill out, and because that'll just make it easier to.
Yeah, right. To
Because
to keep you abreast of everything that's coming up.
yeah,
So,
yep.
but as we end and we sign off, we want to always say communicate with care, connect with intention, and we will see you guys on September the 3rd. Talk to you later. Bye.